my loves, welcome back to my channel. We have officially entered quarter 4 with the month of October, and I have officially turned 30 years old. But that's besides the point. In today's video, I want to do my quarterly wrap up. I'm going to talk to you about the books that I've read throughout the months of July, August, and September. Admittedly, this is my lowest amount of books read for a quarter, but I still had a really good time. So without further ado, I'm going to throw you back to the version of me that recorded this little tier ranking so we could talk about all of the books that I've read and where they sit in the ranking within my mind. Okay, besties, let's get into it. If you're new to my tier rankings that I've been doing this year, these are all Taylor Swift lyrics, and top tier is I Want to Wear His Initial on a Chain around My Neck, a book that's left its smart, an all-time favorite, if you will. Never Go Out of Style means I absolutely loved it and I had a damn good time reading. August Slipped Away is either it was just okay or I genuinely don't remember reading this book. Screaming at the Sky, a book I wish I could scream to the sky about because I did not like it. In fact, I wish I could get my time back. And If You Tasted Poison, You Could Have. Books that I either DNF'd or hated to the depths of my soul. So let's get into it. Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I'm going to put that at Screaming at the Sky because I didn't hate this book. The audiobook was very well done. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. August Slipped Away. I had fun while I was reading this, but I did have my reservations about some of the things that were happening in this book and if it was truly an appropriate story to tell. Haunting of Velkwood, my gay icon. I Want to Wear His Initial on a Chain around my neck. I loved this book so much. If you want to hear any of my thoughts on these 3 books and this one here in more depth, I talk about it in my Summer Ween vlog, so you can check that out on my channel if you are interested in that. The Girls Are Never Gone is Never Go Out of Style. I had a really fun time reading this. It's a sapphic YA horror featuring a haunted house, ghosts, and a vengeful spirit. So obviously I had a good time with this. How You Get the Girl. Truthfully, it'd be somewhere between August Slipped Away and Screaming at the Sky, but I'm gonna put it at August Slipped Away. There are elements of this story that I really love, specifically the conversations about asexuality, aromanticism, and the spectrum of those identities, but ultimately it was a pretty meh romance to me. I wasn't deeply rooting for them, but I did like a lot of the more emotional elements that were happening in the background. Partner Plot. Never Go Out of Style. Christina Forrest making me believe in a second chance romance. That's all you need to know about that. The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Also Never Go Out of Style. I would call it silly goofy, but honestly there's deeper conversations in here about a narcissistic man. However, the relationship between our hero and our heroine is very fun to read about. And if you like books or movies like Crazy Rich Asians, this is set on a private island and there definitely is a lot of chaos going on. I can't put it I Want to Wear His Initial on a Chain around my neck, regardless of how much fun I had reading this, because she calls his penises goddamn. That's not the reason why it's not I Want to Wear His Initial on a Chain around my neck, or just certain elements of it. Like, it's not an all-time favorite, but it was very good. I'm gonna just immediately put Becoming Supernatural and the 12-Week Year into August Slipped Away, not because they're not memorable, but just because I don't rate nonfiction the way that I do my other books. Lore of the Wild is going to be August Slipped Away. This book was fine. It's not a series I would continue. It's not something that was super spectacular, but I also don't think it was the worst thing I read. It just feels like a pretty standard fantasy that needed some polishing. Truly, Madly, Deeply. I wanted to call him something here, but I'm not going to call him. We're going to call him my pussy eating love here. He loves being on his knees. He really does. And I'm going to put it at Never Go Out of Style. This isn't my favorite romance by any means. Am I? No, it's going to devote it to August Slipped Away. It's not my favorite romance, but I did like their relationship. I just wanted their relationship to be more front and center. And this was ultimately more about Truly and her relationship to her parents and her meddling in that situation. And as much as Colin, is that his name? TBH, I don't know. I don't know where I'm pulling that from, but if that is his name, we're here. As much as he loves eating her out, it wasn't enough to save this story, but it is a fun time, and the audiobook is very fun. Oh Lord, spookily yours. This writing is very bad. And I know this author's a sweetheart, but me criticizing this work does not mean me criticizing this author. It just needs to be edited. And I'm going to give you a clear example of this. This cat is in a magical town, and he's no doubt seen witches. And he's talking in the very beginning of the book about like, how is he going to get our heroine to recognize that he's not a cat, that he is a demon trapped in this form. And he's thinking about that. And then the very next chapter, he just starts talking. If you could have always spoken, why didn't you? And also, I'll never forget the crunchy leaves crunch. Pumpkin spice and poltergeist is also going to go on. If you tasted poison, you could have, because I also DNF'd it. I don't think it was as bad as Spookily Yours, but it also just had a silly, goofy tone to it that was not what I was looking for. If you want something more lighthearted, then definitely go for it. It's a good, like, brain off book from what I've heard. Very much Halloween Town vibes. However, that's not the kind of vibes I tend to look for in my romance. If you're new here, I tend to enjoy my romances with a little bit something more. I love fluff in there, but it can't just be fluff. It needs a little bit more depth for me to enjoy it. However, if that's not the case for you, maybe you'll like Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist, and it is a sapphic paranormal romance. Novel love story. I'm going to put in Never Go Out of Style. I did really love this. I wish that we got more of the perspective of the male character, because we don't ever get his point of view, which isn't a new thing. I don't think we get the male point of view in any of Ashley Poston's books. However, this book I think really could have used a male perspective, especially because of the whole premise of this town and what's going on with his backstory. It would have been more beneficial, I think, to have heard this story from his point of view. Everyone on this train is a suspect. Never Go Out of Style. This was so much fun, but it was so much fun because of the strength of the characters. Ernest himself is just a very personable guy. Like, just listening to his narration of the story that's going on, because the fourth wall is broken here. He's talking to you as if you were a reader reading the story, but the story is true in this world. So I liked him a lot. Did I really care about the murder mystery? No. But did some of the twists kind of gag me? Yeah, they did. Ready or not, I want to wear his initial on a chain around my neck. This book was so much fun to read. I could not stop smiling and grinning the whole time I was listening to this. And it was such like a good slow burn build up to the relationship. And I just adored this so much. Another one with the audiobook is fantastic. And then the last book that I read before moving on to October is Bury Your Gaze, which I'm putting all the way up into I want to wear his initial on a chain around my neck. I read this for Screaming Color, which is a readathon that Gabby from Gabby Reads hosts on her Patreon, and I loved this so much. Where it ended up going was wild, and I described this as a love letter to classic horror films while still critiquing the representation or lack of representation of queer characters in these kind of stories, and the desire for mainstream media to prioritize tragic stories, queer tragedy. And I just loved it, but also it has this very humorous undertone while still providing very, very intense scares. Like the scene in the forest with the mob guy. I'm never going to forget that. That was a wild, crazy time, as is what is ultimately going on in this story. So besties, that does bring us to the end of this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. There are almost 1,200 of you here, which is so exciting. I wanted to hit 1,000 subscribers this year, and I did, and then it's all because of you. So a huge thank you so much to every single person who watches my videos, who takes the time to comment, who subscribes. I love you all so much. You truly are my internet besties, and I'm going to see you in my next video on Sunday, which is going to be a fun one because we're going to spend some very cozy days together. Bye.